Sauha.
Nilagay ko kami there. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Ching.
What?
Welcome to the Bomb Beats. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bomb Eats Basics, where we teach you the simplest ways to cook delicious meals. Keywords will always be bare minimum effort. In this video, we introduce creative cooking, which is cooking without following a recipe. What did I just say? No recipe? Yes, it's possible. I personally find it too overwhelming to follow a recipe, so I just use the recipe as a loose guide or as inspiration and create my own dish from there. With practice, you will be able to familiarize yourself with the different flavors of various ingredients. And a great way to start this is to acquaint yourself with one condiment and broaden your palate from there. We'll teach you how to make the condiment and 3 ways to use it, each with various levels of difficulty. Here goes! Creative cooking with one condiment. The condiment we'll be using is ginger garlic paste. Ginger and garlic are the base flavors for a lot of Asian cooking. And TBH, katams to peel and slice these two every time you'd want to cook. So we just make this paste one time and store it in the fridge. This can last for months in the fridge. Plus, it's good for you. Feel free to pause and Google. What we'll need first are ginger and garlic. I have fresh ginger and some I bought last month. We'll use both. Of course, the fresher one is better, but if you have ones that have been lying around for a period of time, now's your time to use them or plant them so you can just harvest ginger whenever you need it. Just make sure you don't include the dry, woody, stringy bits when you peel. You can see the difference in color between the good parts and the not so good parts. Peeling is preference. If you're not comfortable working with a knife, you can use a spoon to peel. I prefer using a paring knife, especially with the old ginger, since the skin is tougher to remove. You will see me peel and slice depending on the texture I will encounter. As for the garlic, we peel the garlic and keep it in the freezer. You might see that the garlic changed color, which means it's thawing. You may want to lay it on paper towels to collect the moisture, but since we're, BMEing, we'll just leave it as is and just strain it later on. Eyeball equal parts ginger and garlic, or better yet, go with preference. But as a start, you can try cooking first with equal parts, then adjust later on. Take out your blender and blend the two together. It's as simple as that. And once the ginger and garlic turn into paste-like consistency, remove from the container. If you notice that there's moisture or liquid in the paste, get a strainer and strain out the liquid. In our case, the liquid came out as the garlic was thawing. Place in a bowl and add turmeric. Pro tip, turmeric stains a lot. So if you mix it in plastic, your plastic will turn yellow. Why turmeric? Turmeric stunts bacterial growth. Please pause and Google. We will also link the reference video in the description box below. Mix well. Here you'll see my repurposed jar that contains my previous batch of ginger garlic paste. I just added and mixed it in. Store in the fridge. The turmeric will help preserve the paste. My previous one lasted for around 3 to 4 months before it went bad. Now that we have the paste, what can we cook with it? Since I mentioned that ginger and garlic are base flavors for a lot of Asian dishes, we thought that it would be nice to take you around Asia. We'll start with the simplest dish and work our way up. We will also cook with one pan and minimum tools, so just in case you find yourself without equipment or without a rice cooker, you'll be able to do these dishes. For the first 2 dishes, we will be using chicken thigh fillets. We prefer chicken thigh fillets because aside from the richer flavor that the thighs bring, it is easier to cook them than chicken breast fillets because thighs do not dry out as fast as chicken breast. So if you're just a beginner and you notice that your chicken breast always comes out dry, be comforted with the thought that it's a chicken's fault, not yours. Switch to thighs and you will notice that cooking will seem relatively easier. However, if you prefer chicken breast for health reasons, please go ahead and use them, but be conscious of your cooking time. We already have an estimate as to how much we can consume, so we roughly chopped up around 8 pieces of 2 to 3 centimeter cubes, which is around 2 to 3 pieces of fillet. It's a lot of chicken because we're also preparing for the next dish. Let's start with the simplest. First, ginger garlic chicken rice inspired by Hainanese chicken rice of Singapore. Our methods will be different from the original recipe because, TBH, I don't like boiled chicken. Here's our cooking criteria to prepare this dish. Cooking skills, 3 to 4. There will be some minor guesstimating for marinating and more guesstimating for rice cooking. Effort level, 3 to 4. Again and always depending on who will wash the dishes. Here's how we do it. First, we coat the chicken with a ginger garlic paste. Just enough until there's a very thin coating of the paste. I also realized that there were ginger bits that were not blended in. Oops, but that's okay. I'll use that later on. Feel free to add salt and pepper, and if you prefer, patis. I prefer patis. For this video, let's add a little bit of all three. For this much, around a spoonful of saltiness and a half a spoonful of pepper will do the trick. You can adjust this later when you cook. Leave the marinade for at least 1 hour and up to overnight. The longer the marinade sits on the meat, the better. But if you don't have time, 1 hour is okay. You can adjust the taste later on. Turn on the pan and put it on medium setting. I always start the pan in medium setting because it's easier to adjust the heat from there. Add a little oil. My default oil for anything Asian is the sesame oil blend, which is part refined vegetable oil and part sesame oil. I prefer this blend because the taste of the pure sesame oil can get too overpowering, but if you prefer the pure one, please go ahead and use that. Put the chicken in the pan, skin side down. Flip the chicken when you see browning. Since we're working with boneless thighs, cooking time will be relatively short. Remove from pan once you see browning on both sides. Estimate around 10 minutes for this. It doesn't have to be fully cooked as it will be cooked later on. Remember to ASDJ. Add the leftover marinade to the pan. If the pan is dry, add a little oil and then add your short-grained bigas. Does this sound familiar? It's very similar to our chick choy rice recipe. Also leave in the pan the big ginger bits because it will add flavor to the rice. Toast the rice and add water once toasted. If it's your first time to cook rice in a pan, a good method is to cover the pan and every 5 minutes lift the cover, stir, and add water if you feel there's a need to add more. You can increase the time to 10 minutes if you feel more confident in leaving it alone, but always keep the heat to medium setting to avoid browning and burning of the rice. Add the chicken back when you feel the rice is almost cooked. For aesthetics, we left the chicken on top, but feel free to mix the chicken to cook evenly. Cooking time will vary from 30 to 45 minutes depending on your cooking skills and comfort level. Once the rice and chicken are cooked, plate and serve. Second dish, chicken sausage rice with tau si. Just like the dish sounds, it's very reminiscent of chicken sausage rice in Chinese restaurants. Here's the criteria on how to prepare this dish. Cooking skills 4 to 5. There's slightly more things to do than the first dish we prepared, but if you've done the first with ease, you'll find this easier too. Effort level 4 to 5, depending on, you guessed it, who will wash the dishes. Everything is similar to the first dish except we will add a few more ingredients, namely salted black beans or tau si, Chinese sausage, and mushrooms. For the Chinese sausage, it just so happens that we have these in the fridge, but any Chinese sausage will do. You may also opt for shiitake mushrooms or any other fresh mushrooms, but since we only have the canned variety right now, this is what we'll use. Marinate the chicken in the garlic ginger paste with the salted black beans. Remember to ASDJ since we're not going to add salt. Right before you cook, slice a mushroom and Chinese sausage. Better to slice in that order since Chinese sausage can get really greasy, and slicing the less greasy ingredient first saves you from having to wash and rewash your knife and cutting board. Sear and brown the chicken. Once done, remove from pan and add the Chinese sausage and then later on the mushrooms. Once they're slightly brown, remove from pan and add rice, similar to the previous dish. But for full katam's minimum effort level, just leave all the ingredients in the pan and cook all together. But maybe do it when you've had experience with cooking rice in a pan. If you wish to cook it separately, do the same method as the previous one, then add the other ingredients when you see the rice is half cooked. Again, for aesthetic purposes, we left the chicken on top, but feel free to mix everything every so often to make sure everything is cooked evenly. Once you see the rice, chicken, and Chinese sausage are cooked, it's done, and have fun! Our third dish has been the Bomb Eats favorite, inspired by flavors from Korea. For this recipe, we will use pork. Well, because we want to. We've been eating chicken for so many days now and just wanted to change it up. But this also works very well with chicken. Here's our criteria for cooking. Cooking skills 5 to 6, as there will be a lot of mixing and measuring. Effort level 5 to 6. You already know why. For this marinade, you will need the following ingredients: garlic ginger paste, soybean paste, we have gochujang, which is spicy, and doenjang, which is not, juice, and patis. Mix everything together. The garlic ginger paste will add a slight tartness and punch, while the soybean paste will add saltiness and optional heat if you will use gochujang. To start, feel free to add 1 spoonful of each, but if you don't want heat, just add 2 spoonfuls of the soybean paste. Add juice. It just so happens that our only juice that's open is apple juice, but feel free to use this with orange or pineapple as they work just as well. The juice will add sweetness to the dish and will counter the strong flavors that the pastes will bring. Credit for this goes to Chef Roy Choi. You've probably seen this at the Chef Show on Netflix. Add patis and pepper for extra depth of flavors. Prepare the meat. For pork, we also like them in 2 cm cubes. Note that pork shrinks as the fat gets rendered from the pan, so the 2 cm cubes will be smaller. We asked our meat supplier for 1 inch thick pork belly. Pour the marinade on the meat. If it's your first time, do it bit by bit until the meat is coated. We're doing it bit by bit so we know how much or how little to put, because once you mix all the marinade with raw meat, you won't be able to keep it as is or repurpose for other meat, so either it will be cooked or discarded. Once it's marinated, well, this is the next day for us. Get ready to cook. Always start with medium heat. Add a little oil and start searing and browning the meat. Once it's brown, you have the option to turn it into stew or to keep it dry. If you want to keep them dry, don't add the sauce and leave the pan uncovered while you cook. But if you want it stew-like or yung talagang masauce, add the sauce and cover the pan. The steam will just go back to the pan and turn the marinade into a nice sauce. This will also make the meat more tender, so personally, we prefer this method. Once you see that the pork is ready, plate and serve! We miss K-barbecue and samgyeopsal so much, this has become one of our staple dishes. What's great about this dish is that it's so versatile. You can add potatoes, carrots, and onions and turn it into a stew. Or eat it how we eat it a la samgyeopsal with kimchi, dipping sauce, and samjang. Thanks for watching. Do you like these types of videos? Please like this video so we know you like this and we'll feel inspired to make more. Also leave a comment on what recipes you want us to simplify for you. For more videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us at The Bomb Beats. Thank you from The Bomb Beats.
And party!
May gutom na.